Are curved displays worth it? Yes and no. Well, it really depends on what situation you're using your curved display in. In some situations, it makes sense, and in some situations, it might be more harmful than really helpful. Now, let's answer the biggest question many people have with curved displays. Is the curve even noticeable in the first place? Yes, absolutely, and for the biggest curved effect to really kick in, get an ultra-wide curved display, like a 21:9 or 32:9 aspect ratio, because the wide displays, the really ultra-wide displays, have the corners of the display is very far from you. So by having that part of the display curved towards you, you really get that wraparound immersive effect that people are looking for when they get a curved display. Get an ultra wide if you want to get the best out of your curved display experience. But let's talk about different situations and whether curved display will be worth it or not worth it in that situation. First, it's immersive games, role-playing games. In this situation, it is pretty obvious. Curved display is going to be worth it because it's going to really immerse you in the game. By filling your peripheral vision with screen and making it feel like the game wraps around you, you're gonna feel more immersed and involved and enveloped by the game's world, and that's gonna be a great fun experience, and in that situation a curved display makes sense. However, if you're playing a competitive game like a competitive FPS or a MOBA or like League of Legends, Dota, CSGO, Valorant, these competitive games, a curved display is probably not a good idea. First, a curved display doesn't actually give you any performance advantage. It's not like you're seeing more because the display is curved. And number two, it might actually knock your muscle memory out of whack because curved displays, but yeah, they might be the same aspect ratio of 16:9 or 21:9 as your previous monitor, but because they're curved, there's kind of a slight distortion here and there, so it feels kind of like unnatural. At least that's what I noticed when I play CSGO on a curved display after being using a straight display pretty much my entire life. Like, my aim was out of whack, the muscle memory was out of whack. I would say that if you're really serious about competitive FPS performance, don't get a curved display because it will knock your muscle memory and it will take a few weeks to adjust to it, that's for sure. However, if you're a casual player, the difference is not major enough to really worry too much, and that advantage of a curved display that I mentioned in the first point still remains. So if you play a lot of different games and you don't just play competitive games and you're not a super sweaty tryhard about being really the best player out there, it's not a concern. Finally, productivity. Does it hurt or benefit to have a curved or straight display? I would argue that to me, having a curved display is definitely a benefit because I use a 21:9 ultra-wide monitor. By having it curved at the corners towards me when I turn my head to look at the side of the monitor, it's kind of facing more parallel to my eyes, which definitely feel like less of a strain. It definitely feels more comfortable to look at the corners of the display. However, some people might find it unnatural and feel kind of weird about it and might not like it. Like my sister, she tried it, she works with a lot of text documents and stuff. She said she hated it and she couldn't get used to it. So it is going to be hit and miss, but I would argue that it's not a major difference that, you know, if you're someone who does both gaming and work on your computer, you have to be too concerned. It's just that don't expect to really get a big advantage from going with the curved display either. It really doesn't make too much of a difference. Okay, now that we got kind of which situations curved displays make sense and don't out of the way, let's talk about the cons of a curved display because that's very important to think about. A curved display is going to be a lot bulkier than your normal flat screen display because you're going to need a bigger stand to support the more uneven weight, and also a curved display is going to have more depth. It's curved, right? So it's going to have a lot more depth, and it tends to be a bit thicker because curved displays need more structural rigidity in this case to kind of support all that curved stuff. So it's going to be thicker, bigger, and a bit bulkier, and that must be something that you keep in mind because your desk might not have enough space for the curved display. Also, a curved display is going to be pricier than the equivalent flat screen display. It's more convoluted, more complicated to engineer, and hence it's going to be more pricey. So you need to keep in mind, is that price difference worth it for you? So in conclusion, then, are curved displays worth it? Well, as I said, if you're playing immersive games and the cost difference and the space difference is worth it, yeah, go for it. But I would heavily implore and recommend you buy an ultra-wide curved display if you're buying a curved display for that curved screen experience. Why? Because having an ultra-wide curved display, the curve experience is going to be way better than just your normal aspect ratio because the corners of the screen will be much further out, so when they curve to you, they really fill up your peripheral vision with the game with screen, so it feels a lot more immersive than a normal 16:9 display being curved towards you. Because a 16:9 display is mostly going to be in your primary vision anyway, it's not going to really fill your peripheral vision. That curve is not going to really change much. However, on an ultra-wide display, that curved effect, that immersion, that involvement, the environment, the diving into the world of the game, it's going to be way better if you get an ultra wide, just trust me. So if you're gonna go all the way and get a curved display, just spend that little bit of extra and get an ultra wide, it will be worth it. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you liked it or found it helpful, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you have any questions you wanna ask, I will reply to them on my Discord, linked in the description. Also tell me if the description's Discord link is broken, because then I'll fix it.